So we're here at the IBM booth, and who are you?
Dave Locke from IBM in the UK labs.
And here you have the ARM mbed IoT Starter Kit.
That's right. We've been working with ARM for the last year, and really the premise of working with ARM is ARM want to get as much silicon, as many ARM Cortex out in the outside world as possible. That silicon is going to generate the data, and IBM loves data. It loves to process data to gain insight from that data. So when we first started working with ARM, we said, wouldn't it be really cool if we can show how to get ARM processors, ARM silicon, connected to the cloud as possible? In fact, we set a design goal where we said, we want to be able to take devices out of the box, plug them together, get them connected to the cloud, get data flowing, and visualize that data in the time it takes to drink 2 beers.
So right here we have this is going to be released like this. Can we do unboxing?
We can. So the idea of actually to take it out of the box, get it plugged together, and connect it to the web in the time it takes to drink 2 beers. So we take it out. There's a simple set of instructions which basically says you take the main board out, which happens to be a Freescale K64F Cortex M4 board. Now the fiddly part is getting it out of the polythene.
So how soon is it going to be released?
So the ARM are working at the moment with distributors, and the expectation is it will be available in the next quarter.
So it was announced right here at the Embedded World?
It was announced this week. In fact, there are the press releases out there if you want to go and look at it, and you'll probably go and find articles on the Register and the BBC and the like.
So the idea is there's going to be like billions and billions and like let's say 20 billions a year or so. There's going to be a huge amount of Internet of Things devices.
That's right. So you can many of the analysts are suggesting there'll be anything from 20 billion to 50 billion devices connected by 2020. In order for that to happen, we've got to make it as simple as possible to get devices connected across the wide area network, across the internet, into cloud systems like IBM's Bluemix, that then makes it easy to develop. So ARM's value proposition is they make it easy to develop on the device side using their mbed ecosystem. IBM makes it really simple to develop on the cloud side using their Bluemix development environment.
Bluemix. So do you have demos?
We do indeed have a demo. So I'm going to hand over to my colleague York, who's built out a really interesting demo that uses the starter kit and hooks it up to those LED goggles over there.
Yeah. So in that case, it's a simulation of a starter kit. We are running software on Bluemix. It's called Node-RED. It's a lightweight framework. You can see our signal from the starter kit comes here in, and when I transform it to JSON payload, and then depending on the data that comes from the starter kit, in that case I check for this joystick, I change the color and the scene of this little eyes here over. To simulate that, I change the scene now, sending a signal. Oops, go on. Now, let's change the scene. I can change the scene back to the single one. Change the color.
So behind those glasses right here, if I can come behind over there, you have it's connected.
Behind the glasses, there's a little local receiver.
Are you doing Bluetooth?
It is using. I cannot. It's can you see it? I can't open it now.
Yeah.
It's based on the Nordic Bluetooth chipset.
Okay.
It's using Bluetooth Low Energy. It's communicating to Raspberry Pi with a Bluetooth Low Energy server, and this Raspberry Pi is connected to our Bluemix environment.
So how big is this cloud Internet of Things today, and how big is it going to be?
So how big is it going to be? I think you can say it really is down to your imagination as to how big it's going to be. And certainly from an ARM and an IBM perspective, Our goal is to make it big because it's in everybody's interest to do that. ARM want to get as much silicon, their partners make that, they want to have as much business. That silicon generates the data, so lots of little bits of data from many, many, many billions of things generates the world of big data, and we can process that data. We turn it from a raw form into something where you can gain insight and you can monetize that data. So it's a little bit like thinking about oil. When oil comes out of the ground, yeah, you can make it's got value, but actually you can't use it in its raw form. So we actually want to turn that into something that is actually usable.
And you call it
Bluemix.
Bluemix. So has it been around for a while already?
Yeah, Bluemix is a platform as a service that makes it really, really simple to develop applications and deploy those applications in the cloud. It's been out there for about 6 months, just over 6 months now. It's been live.
So it's hosted by IBM?
It's hosted by IBM.
So you just choose how much you want of it and you use it?
Yep, so basically you create an account in there, choose what your favorite runtime for writing your application is. It can be Java, JavaScript, Go, Ruby, PHP. In fact, if your favorite language isn't there, you can pull in your own runtime because it's based on Cloud Foundry. So again, open environments. Or alternatively, you use something like Node-RED, which is a way to create your applications using a graphical wiring metaphor.
So Node-RED, is that UI for creating apps? Do you still need to program, or you can do it just with that?
So Node-RED, for a lot of things you can create an application purely visually by dropping nodes onto a palette and wiring those nodes together. Now, if you need to drop down to write code because there isn't a node to do what you want, then you can open up a function node and you can inject JavaScript code into there. Now, the nice thing is it's open source, and there's a big open source community out there that are generating new nodes on a daily basis. So people are contributing nodes for different types of devices. So here we've got Raspberry Pi nodes already.
Was it easy to program this one?
Took me about 2 or 3 days to write the Arduino code to control the LEDs in the right way, and using doing the Bluetooth Low Energy communication. The code for Node-RED was written about a half a day. So
a little bit more than 2 beers, right?
Then a little bit more.
Right, but the two beers was purely to do the unboxing, get the device connected to the cloud and get the data flowing. So that was the 2 beers. But then the key thing is, once you've got it connected, is we wanted to make it easy to then move to the next step, to start developing your application in the cloud. And that's really where Bluemix comes in. And then the mbed development environment from ARM makes it really simple to develop the device-side application. So a combination of mbed from ARM and Bluemix from IBM, together with the simplicity we've made of connecting devices, provides a very strong starting point for developing an end-to-end solution.
Nice. And so let's see more of the. So in the box you get both of these boards.
You do?
So you get this and that.
Yeah.
How do they work? Which one goes for what?
Okay, so this board is the main processor unit. It's actually a board from Freescale. It's the K64F reference implementation. It contains a Cortex M4. This is the Ethernet version. So of course, to plug this one in, you need an Ethernet connectivity.
You can power over Ethernet?
No, this one you can't power over Ethernet. So you're still going to plug in USB in order to basically give power. And also from a development perspective, it looks like a mass storage device, so you can load using the mbed development environment to generate your binary, and then you load it over the USB cable.
Okay.
So as well as the base board with the Cortex M4, it's a starter kit, so we want to provide some sensors to get started with. So it comes with the mbed application shield, which has accelerometer, temperature, 2 potentiometers and a joystick. And a couple of actuators in terms of the LCD screen, an RGB LED for output. So the idea is you literally plug these two together. If I can actually line things up. Yeah. Plug them together. And the next step will be to plug the Ethernet cable in. Once the Ethernet cable's in, we need power. And the key with this starter kit is, once you have put the power in and the Ethernet cable is in there, data from the sensor shield is read and it is immediately sent up into the IBM cloud, into Bluemix, into a service called IoT Foundation.
So that's already built into the firmware software in there.
So that is burnt into the starter kit.
That's pre-installed.
It's pre-installed to make it really simple to get this connectivity.
You don't need to sign up, log in or something?
No, so again, this is the new IBM. So in days gone by, you might well have needed to sign up, register, give us your account details, pay us some money. The new IBM says, actually, we're aiming this anyone from home hobbyists through entrepreneurs, startups, all the way through to large-scale line of business. But to get past that first hurdle of getting started, just seeing you can do something, you don't need to register. As soon as this connects, it connects into a sandbox in the cloud that immediately enables you to visualize the data. So the data from here goes into the sandbox in the cloud, and you click on a URL which you get from the mass storage device on your laptop that the device is plugged into. Click on that URL and the data is immediately visualized.
It could be a QR code or something.
It could be a QR code, absolutely.
And then so is it possible to see some Bluemix here?
Yep. So let me log in first. So
yeah.
So the idea, once you get past the initial stage of visualizing the data in the cloud, then you want to move on to the next step, which is to start doing something with that data. At that point, you do need to register and get an account in Bluemix, but that is free. You don't need to pay anything. It's a free 30-day trial.
And then what happens after? How does it work? Is it based on bandwidth, storage?
So basically in Bluemix, you choose your favorite application runtime, and I'll show you those in a moment. And then there are a set of managed services that you can compose your application from. So there are services for analytics, there are services for data storage, for connectivity. So let's scroll down briefly to start with. So here are the runtimes that you can choose from. So we've got Java, JavaScript on Node.js, Go, PHP, Python, various forms of Ruby, and you notice this bring your own build pack. So the idea here is because it's based on Cloud Foundry, you can bring in your own build pack for your own favorite runtime if it doesn't already exist. So then you've chosen the development environment that you want to use, and from there you now say, oh, okay, I'm going to build an application that is going to receive data from, maybe it's from the starter kit, could be an Arduino, could be a Pi, could be something from another company. We don't mind, we're quite happy to have any devices connected in. That's what the Internet of Things is about. It's about getting as many and as wide a variety of things as connected as possible.
So the people doing this might be just hackers, but it could also be like companies starting to release products.
Absolutely. So we are aiming at anyone from makers, entrepreneurs, because we believe a large number of the interesting, innovative ideas are going to come from people in their garages, startups, Kickstarter type projects. So very much aiming at that. They can use this, they can use it for free, absolutely.
And they can start making a product and using your system for the product. And the end user might not know that you're behind.
It is branded IBM Bluemix, but it's predominantly, we just refer to it as Bluemix. Aimed at, as we say, anyone from these startups all the way through to large-scale line of business. So even people that make white goods and want to sell millions of washing machines, as an example. It's aimed at anyone all the way through. The nice thing is, as well as you mentioned about the 30-day trial, once you're beyond that trial period, each of the services you use have a free allocation. So as an example, if you use the Cloud Ant managed service, which is a NoSQL database, you get 20 gigabytes of storage for free. It's only when you go above that 20 gigabytes that you end up paying. The same with the Internet of Things Foundation service. That's the one where devices connect into and they provide you your gateway into the cloud. You can connect 20 devices concurrently to the cloud for free before you have to start paying for more connectivity.
So there's a good chance that the maker community and the hackers don't need to pay anything.
Absolutely, you can.
They can use as much. They can do a lot.
You can do a hell of a lot.
If you do commercial big stuff, if you want to ship 1 billion devices, you start paying.
Absolutely, you pay. It's a nice model. As you scale up, you pay a tiny little bit for each extra device that you sell, and it very much is a small amount. So it's moving from the old school model where you pay a lot of money up front for the hardware, the software, the services, to now you're paying for what you use.
All right, so that's cool. So there we have nearly just 2 beers, and you are already there. All right.
See some of the services?
Yeah. So it's recent. It's kind of new idea, right?
Yeah. This is, I say, it's been out for just over 6 months, I believe.
Many people using it?
Yeah, there are. It's
Maybe
gone beyond our wildest expectations.
Really?
I'm not sure the numbers. Probably not allowed to say if I did, but it
say.
is beyond our wildest expectations.
Oh yeah.
We're adding new managed services by the day. The interesting thing is, you might notice as we go down here, the services that are on here that you can build your application from come not just from IBM, but they're also from third parties. And I'll show a few as we go down. So here is an example. You may have come across IBM Watson. So originally Watson, it started off by beating Kasparov at chess many years ago. Then it won the Jeopardy game show in the States. And now that's turned into something that can be used in commercial applications around the concept of cognitive analytics. So there's now a set of Watson services that you can see here.
So you can remotely get some Watson service.
You can basically invoke your Watson services here. So each of these services can now be composed into your application. And we'll scroll down briefly and we'll see you've got these Watson Analytics, cognitive analytics services. We've got some mobile services, some from IBM like push notifications, so pushing notification out to your Android or iOS device. Even we've got an example from Twilio, which is a third-party service that enables, as an example, to send SMS text messages programmatically. We can then scroll down. We've got many different ways of storing data. So we've got NoSQL, using things like Cloud Ant, SQL database, which is probably DB2 from IBM in the past. Again, you've got third parties, so we've got Redis and Mongo. So there's a wide selection of different data stores, and you would choose them based on the type of data store you want, SQL, NoSQL, time series, along with maybe the price you're going to pay, and the service level agreement you get with that particular service. So that's down to some of the selection methods you use to choose. And then we can go down, so you've got data store methods in there. We've got some stuff around big data and analysing the data, so geospatial analytics is a good example that is big in the Internet of Things space. And then the final one, which is actually the key one that the Starter Kit connects to, is this Internet of Things Foundation service. So that really is the gateway into the cloud for the data coming from devices.
So there we have the 2 beers are done?
now we are at our second beer.
Yeah.
So unpacking was 1 beer, connecting is the second one. So it will be a very fast one. So connect the Ethernet and connect your USB to power this device. You see IBM IoT Cloud connecting, and after some seconds,
And normally the LED should go from yellow to green in a fraction of a second.
But with the fair and the internet is sometimes there.
looks like...
Now it went. So
I was not waiting long enough. So now I'm connected, okay? And I can now scroll down with a joystick. So he says, go to this URL.
So there's a shortcut there.
Yeah.
and we can actually do that if we go.
Yeah, now the internet is on here, right?
So this device is actually connected across the Ethernet, across the internet to our Bluemix platform, running in our soft layer data center in Dallas. So the data is going up there, and now what we'll do is we'll bring up a web browser that will be running on this local laptop, and we'll consume that data in near real time using the protocol called MQTT, an open protocol for the Internet of Things.
So MQTT You have stickers right here, and it says MQTT inside.
Yes.
So that's
So MQTT basically is an open, lightweight, event-oriented protocol designed for the Internet of Things. It's actually been around for about 15 years. It's a publish-subscribe protocol that enables us to get the data from the device into the cloud or into another server in real time, and for another application to consume that data in near real time. Very frugal in terms of its bandwidth utilization.
Right.
It comes from the background where every byte costs. So it's about minimizing bandwidth, making sure we can do reliable delivery, but do it in an event-oriented way. So you can express an interest in an event, and it will tell you when that event occurs.
so nice. So people can really look forward to buying this solution right here. And the kit is just about to be shipping very soon.
So the distribution agreements are being worked with ARM as
The price also is being worked on.
and the price is being worked.
It's probably going to be a good price.
I would expect it to be a good price.
And then it's from the presentation you just did. It seems like it's a really big thing. There's a lot of things possible right here. A lot of ideas.
Absolutely. So the starter kit is just an example of how you can quickly get started. Take a device out of the box with sensors. Then you can build out on that starter kit, add in additional sensors, come up with home hobby projects all the way through to imagine putting it to washing machines, etc. White goods. It connects immediately into the cloud. So now your data's flowing, and now you can start building out the value of basically refining that data and turning that data into money once you get into the server. Or alternatively, just do your own fun projects.
So there's many different devices connecting.
Yeah, absolutely. So we showed one sort of exemplar example of the ARM IoT Starter Kit that immediately connects to the cloud. But there's a lot of devices out there already today that don't immediately connect. So we wanted to show people how easy it is to get those devices connected. So we've got the concept of a device connectivity recipe for each device. So if you look at the page here, this is our recipes page. And the idea of the recipes page is basically you can look for the type of device that you might have. So you've got some examples here at the top: Raspberry Pi, Arduino Uno, so more from the hobbyist, all the way through to main-scale commercial. So Intel, ARM mbed, which is what we talked about, and there's a whole host of examples on here. The idea of these recipes are they tell you in a small number of steps how to take a specific device, get it out of the box, get it connected, and then unlike the starter kit, you will have to load an application onto the device to get it connected to the cloud, but it does it in a very small number of steps. So not quite a swish and example of the starter kit, but we're still showing, the idea is we show you how to get those devices connected and get that data flowing, so that then you can focus on the value proposition of building your solution.
Are third parties adding this support, or are you doing a lot of that?
No, so this is aimed at third parties. So IBM, from an IBM perspective, we want to get as many weird and wacky devices connected into our cloud as possible. In the end, the variety, the ideas that are going to be out there is going to come from connecting as many different things to the cloud as we possibly can.
Does the IBM cloud recognize what device is doing what, or it doesn't matter? Is that important?
So by default, the service that the device connects to, the Internet of Things Foundation service, is a bit like it's just the gateway into the cloud. It doesn't understand the data. But then all the other services that sit behind it, the data store services, the analytics services, can be used in your application to gain insight, to actually utilize that data that's coming from that device, and then to maybe send control commands, send firmware updates down.
But when there's 50 billion Internet of Things devices around the world, each of them has an ID, and they need to tell the cloud what it is and what they do and stuff?
So there are so this is, I would say, the Internet of Things is at the moment in the same early stages as the web was in the 1990s. So if you imagine back to where the web was in its formative days, Internet of Things is sort of in those stages now. There's a lot of things that are going to evolve as we move forward, but we have all the right starting bits in place. So as we move forward, yes, I expect to see a lot more intelligent objects, intelligent ways of interacting with the devices. At the moment, it's still relatively low level, getting the data in, you have to process that data. We put it in a nice format like JSON. We make tooling like Node-RED to make it easy to wire the data into services like Watson.
Cool. So this is really cool. And launching right now, right here, Internet of Things Starter Kit with ARM at IBM.